Times change. Times change very quickly for an entrepreneur, and I think that is one quality, that agility is very important for an entrepreneur. Most entrepreneurs are resourceful, and that is what they need to be, because if they want to run a business, they start from scratch most of the times, and they need to gather everything that they can think of, all kinds of resources, whether it be people, whether it be funds, whether it be connections, whether it be situations. They gather and muster their courage and put everything behind whatever they're doing. An entrepreneur also is a true visionary. It should be able to see the future. If I'm going to do a business, I need to understand whether this business is going to really work in future or not, or whether it's just going to be there for a few years. And I think that vision, also how I'm going to solve the problem, that vision is very important. We'll come across a lot of examples today while we go through an entrepreneur's journey, but definitely an entrepreneur is a big visionary. An entrepreneur is a big risk taker as well. No risk, no gain. You've all heard of that. And an entrepreneur truly, signifies that. The entrepreneur puts, his or her money at stake. The entrepreneur is willing to take that risk, of going or stretching beyond oneself and going that far. And that is why these risk takers actually go out and make it big in life. An entrepreneur is very empathetic, is able to understand, the problems of others, is able to keep oneself into somebody else's shoes and understand what is the other person going through. If I can't understand your problem, I can't solve it for you. So I first need to get into your shoes to understand, what you really need. Of course, an entrepreneur needs to be very disciplined because it's very chaotic, like I said out there. So a lot of discipline is required in an entrepreneur's journey, and that is what actually keeps the entrepreneur on track. And lastly, but not the least, I think important is an entrepreneur needs to be optimistic. Oftentimes they say, that the entrepreneur's journey is a very lonely journey, but not really if you have a good team with you. But yes, you need to keep yourself optimistic and be very, very hopeful of the future, in the sense you will meet some entrepreneurs today and you will understand how that one little ray of hope has kept them going. So basically, why does an entrepreneur need to solve a problem? An entrepreneur really needs to solve a problem because that's how one would be able to, set or build a business around. And you really need to understand how big is that problem. The problem that I'm trying to solve, is that a really big problem? Are many people interested in getting that problem solved? And only then, if you know that, yes, there are a lot of people who have the same problem, and if I solve this problem, will I be able to create a business around it? Okay. I think there is a question somewhere. Somebody who's raised hands. I think should we just take the questions just after I finish this part? There's one little part, then I'll finish, and then we'll probably get into questions. Okay. So an entrepreneur really solves a problem first, and the tougher the problem, the bigger the business can be. The potential of that business is much greater. At the same time, if the entrepreneur understands the problem well, the solutions will be better. So it'll be much easier to make a business out of an opportunity. So basically, an entrepreneur looks for an opportunity in a business, in a problem, sorry. And of course, the entrepreneur needs to come up with a solution, and that solution needs to be, really fulfilling the problem. And that solution needs to be innovative. Today, entrepreneurs use technology in various forms, even in very, I would say, social problems, like, for example, if you talk about agriculture, if you talk about education, if you're talking about healthcare, a lot of technology is coming into play. And technology as an enabler is today, is what makes the business a little different and stand out. That becomes a differentiator for a lot of businesses today. So the entrepreneur really needs to solve that problem that he or she is after, and that solution needs to be unique. That solution needs to be so unique that one is willing to pay for it, because until and unless people are willing to pay for it, a business cannot be created. And of course, like I said, an entrepreneur needs to do business around that one problem and solution. And when we look at businesses today, a lot of them, you've heard of them, I'm sure, all around you, whether it be a Zomato or a Swiggy or an Uber and an Ola. These are all new age startups, you've heard of them, and they've all become really big because they've solved some problem. And they've solved a bigger problem for a lot of people. So if you start to compare how many people use these kind of services, whether it be a Swiggy, an Ola, or an Uber, or a Zomato, or for that matter, even a Byju's. If you look at it, so many people get impacted by these kind of solutions, right? So these are businesses which can be created around solving problems. And yes, now if you come look at the journey, the entire journey is it's a big joyride, I must say. I've been an entrepreneur for over 25 years before I came and joined IIM Calcutta Innovation Park, and I think it was a very fulfilling and an amazing experience, having created 7 businesses. And my first business, let me share this with you. It's a little secret, not many people know about this, but I would love to share this with you. My first business started when I was 7.5 years old. Are you going to ask me, what business did you do at 7.5 years old, when you were 7.5 years old? Well, it was a business which came out of a need. Okay, so I had to solve a problem for my own self. And well, I've always loved comics, and I've loved, these storybooks that I had. I had a huge collection of comics with me, over 1,000 comics I had at one point in time. And at that point in time, I'm not talking about the year it was the 70s, okay, the mid 70s. And I had so many comics, and at one point in time, my mom said, listen, you better, get rid of them, because they're all over the place and there's no space to keep them, and they're gathering too much of dust, and they're becoming a menace now. And I think the idea was more so that I could concentrate and focus on my studies rather than anything else. But I had to save my comics, and that was my world. These cartoon characters were my world. And I said, I need to save this. How do I do that? And I was, visiting a library. I would generally go out and, whatever little money that I would save from whatever people would give me, or, whatever I would earn as maybe pocket money, I would just save up that money and, go out and buy comics. And I would also sometimes even rent comics out of a library. So I was at this library, and it just suddenly struck me, this place has got so many comics. It's a different world altogether. Why can't I create my own library? This way, at least I'll be able to save my books. I didn't want them to go away from me. And I think that was my only chance that I saw that I could, do something with. And I said, okay, let me create a library. So I sat down and I hand wrote all the rules on a big chart paper. And I made out these small little membership cards, all handmade out of paper and pen. And I stuck the chart paper on the wall of my room. Of course, I got a lot of screaming because of that, because my mom was really livid that I spoiled the walls. But I put up the rules and regulations, and I went out to my friends and I invited them all over, and I told them, listen, I've got a library running. And I took a very meager, of course, at that point in time, that was a lot of money, a meager membership fee. And of course, I would charge them for every book that they would take from me to read, or every comic that they would take from me to read. You won't believe it, but in a year and a half's time, I collected 3,500 rupees. I was just 7.5 years, 8 years old at that point in time. and I collected so much of money, and then of course after that, of course, nobody ever questioned me about my comics. But what really happened was I could buy myself a bicycle, and that's how that was my first business that I started. Of course, it only ran for a year and a half, but that was my first business. Of course, this has been such an amazing ride so far, having done 7 other businesses after that. Of course, they were all when I was much older. I was in after college, and it's been it's a lovely journey, I would say. Before I go on, now let's take some questions. Okay, some hands are up, please.
Gaurav, there are also questions on the Q&A panel. If you just open up the Q&A box.
I'm just going through those only.
Yeah.
Okay,
Archisman Raut and sorry, Gaurav, sorry for interruption. Archisman Raut and Krishna Pranita Sripada, you've raised your hands. As you can understand, there are more than 300 people listening in. And if all of you start speaking, becomes a bit of a problem. If you can just type in your questions in the Q&A box below, that would be great. Thank you so much. Gaurav, back to you.
Thank you so much. Yes, I think that would be wonderful if everybody could, type in their questions. I'll try and answer all of them through the evening, if time willing, allowing rather. We've got a lot of things to cover today. So the first question is, this is from an anonymous attendee: how to differ between optimism and wishful thinking? Well, I would say optimism is something where you are wanting or wishing something to happen which you're working on, I would say, or it's within your grasp or within your reach. That would be more of optimism. Wishful thinking could be anything. It could be any dream thing. But let me tell you, nothing stops one from dreaming and making those dreams come true. So if you have a dream, please do follow it. I'm sure at one point in time it may come true. Is improving the education system a good business idea? Yes, of course, it's a very good idea, and more than a good idea, I would say, Archishman, that it is a very good, it is a very big need today. This country really needs a good education system. We have a good system, not saying that it's not a good system, but yes, any addition or any changes to it to make it work better, I think it's a welcome idea. Anonymous again, suppose power plants are a new creation. If we set up a power plant, is that a possible business? Sure, it's a possible business, provided you have the kind of money to actually set it up. Anonymous again, are businesses with tie-ups with government considered an entrepreneur? Yes, of course. Businesses with governments are also considered as entrepreneur business. In fact, there are some people here today you will meet who are working with the government. What is the best way, again anonymous, what is the best way to bounce back if a financial risk doesn't produce a fruitful result? The best way is if you feel that you cannot, so I failed 4 times in my life where my businesses are concerned. I lost almost 95% of my business overnight. Everything went into water. It was inundated and lost almost 95% of the stocks that I had. Business was almost closed, and I bounced back from it. Just to tell you, it's only, I think, the one thing that really keeps you going is if you have the will and you want to restart it, and you feel that you can actually work it out, go ahead and do it. If you feel that no, everything is lost, then shut shop and move ahead. I think that is the best way to look at things. But yes, every other business has got a financial risk to it. There is no business that will not give you a financial risk. If it doesn't give you a fruitful result, it may not happen overnight. You might need to be a little more persistent, and that is generally when most entrepreneurs give up. I think if you've got a good idea, and if it is a solid idea and it's a validated idea, then stick to it. It might just work out. Is your library? No, it's not active anymore, and I don't have my comics anymore. Unfortunately, Advik, if I had them, I'd be a much richer person today, because probably I would have had more than 5,000 comics by now. Rishabh has a question: are investors also entrepreneurs? Of course, yes, they are. An investor's business is lending money or putting money or investing money into another business. So that's a business in itself, right? So they are entrepreneurs as well. They're taking a risk. The questions are actually coming in too fast. What if our product fails? If it fails, go back and validate it, go back to the market, find out why has it failed. I think that is a very important step that we miss. If the market feels and gives you a feedback that, you know, it's not going to work, it's probably not going to work, but that validation is what is going to give you an answer as to if it's going to work again or not. And what are the changes that you need to make or the pivots that you need to make to get it back on track. Okay, Advik, I responded to that. I wanted to start the same thing, Pakshal. I don't know what you were talking about. Are you talking about the library, Pakshal? If you are, then if it did not work, you could probably try it now. I'm sure it would work. Anonymous again, which type of business are allowed to represent? I didn't get this question. If you could please reframe it. The book one, yes, Prakshal, I answered that. Aryan, I believe that the most important part in a startup is the convenience to customers, or is to convenience customers, and tip on how to do so. Well, the best way to convenience customers is to go back to your customers and speak to them. I think that's the biggest part. You need to speak to your customers to find out what is their need, what do they really want. And I think that is called validation, and most entrepreneurs actually miss that part out. If you don't speak to your customer, you will not know what they need. Would design thinking help in creative ideas? Yes, very much, Rosemary. It's a very important step, I would say, to understanding or rather reaching your solution. You know, I think that's a very, very important step. What is the biggest fear? Krishna is asking, what is the biggest fear when you start a startup and how to manage the fear? Oh, I think my fear, if you ask me, I think my biggest fear was, whether I would be able to, stop myself from, being too optimistic. How to separate our products from the competition? Well, you need a differentiator there. There has to be some kind of an innovation there. If you have good innovation, it's going to work for you. I believe the most important part in the start, okay, we've already addressed that. Does an entrepreneur always have profits? No, not really, not always. In fact, most businesses, if you see today, the larger ones are burning money today. They don't have profits at this point in time, but they're all working because in the hope that at some point in time, they will make big profits. Momal is asking, was it hard to handle when people started judging you and discouraged you? Well, yes, it was discouraging at some point in time, but if you are a go-getter and if you have, your rock solid, tower of strength in front of you, which was my dad, who always kept me going. I think you have somebody in your life, who actually gives you that little energy to go and move ahead, and that's what happened with me. So I think it works out. What is the fine, Jaya? What is the fine line between business and entrepreneurship? A business could be anything, but an entrepreneur, or rather an entrepreneurship, what is entrepreneurship would be more to do with, a lot to do with, I would say, an innovation that is connected to it. When you bring in innovation to a business, it becomes entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship would come in when, you're trying to solve a problem. Normal business may not solve a problem. Deep, how do we convince people to buy our services? Well, if your product or service is good and you've spoken to them enough, I'm sure your customers would understand that there's value in that. So you need to make sure that you actually present the right value to them. That's important. Does government interrupt in any private business? Not really, but only if you're doing a legal business, no. Tips to change your business game: sit down, replan it, rethink it, speak to your customer. This is the first thing I would say. That's important. Are household problems and a solution to it can be considered business? Yes. Problems and solution, yes, if you attach money to it, if there is some income from it, yes, it can be considered as a business. Yasmin, what is the difference between a normal business like the shopkeepers and entrepreneurship? there's a lot of, see, shopkeepers generally are traders, but when you're talking about entrepreneurship, you're talking about, like I said before, innovation coming into the play. It could be a retailer as well, but innovation coming in somewhere. And of course, you're solving a problem. Can I just stop here for a moment? And the reason is because I think these questions are going to be never ending. But I think there is something very important that we need to do also is I need to go ahead and also make you meet some very interesting people today. So hold on to your horses. You've got 175 questions there. If I keep answering these questions, it'll be tonight by the time I finish. Okay. And we've got some very, very interesting people. I promise you that. And in the meantime, before I go ahead to make you meet these people, I would like you to also take you through a little more on a little different journey. I'm sure what you see on your screen, can you see the screen? What you see on your screen is probably very, very recognizable. I don't think anybody on this earth today will not recognize this one picture and not know what I'm talking about. Very challenging, very grim picture, but let me tell you that all is not all that dismal. Okay, this is what we've seen so far in the last 2 years, and I'm sure not a single family would be there on this earth who in some way or the other, whether close ones or known ones or friends or family or far off family members, have somebody or the other who's not, seen this scene. But I would also say that, businesses have been down and low and out. A lot of them are fighting. A lot of them also doing well, but yes, overall the picture has been grim where money is concerned. Salaries have been cut, businesses have been low, and of course we've had on the other side an entire, I would say an army of warriors across the world who've been, working day and night to keep us on our toes and ensure that we are alive. Okay, and I think that is one very important part that we miss out. There are people who stand behind us to ensure that we live. And a big salute to all of them. If you have someone in your family or an extended family or a friend or a known person, please do go out and salute them and thank them, because I think they have done an amazing job and in ensuring that we as people on this earth are alive. However, there has been a lockdown and most of us have seen very long stretches of no activity, and it's played on our minds, it's played on our work, it's played on the way we live, it's played on the way we probably eat, sleep, drink, breathe. Yes, breathe as well. We're all wearing masks now, right? I don't think that this lockdown has been there for no reason. Of course, it's been there to keep us safe, but it has changed a lot in our lives. And while most part of the world has been under lockdown for a long time, there are still some people, who are not deterred. They've been working very silently behind the scenes, and I would like you to meet some of them now. Let me talk about something called the ventilator project. So when the lockdown started immediately this was last year, a team in IIT Kanpur is a startup team along with another 20 people. So this is a startup plus 20 people who made a kind of a workforce, a task force which started working, and they, within 3 months' time, you won't believe this, within 3 months, they created a ventilator. They created a world-class, I would say, economical, top in technology, a ventilator which is suitable for the Indian conditions. However, there was no compromise on science or quality, and they came up with this in 3 months' time. So what I was just trying to say is they were trying to solve a problem. They saw a problem at hand that there were no ventilators around in the country, and there would be a shortage of ventilators. So to address that problem, they started off within 3 months, and they worked on a, I would say on a you know a battle mode, and there was literally a war room there. And in within 3 months, 90 days, they had set 90 days for themselves. It was a targeted attempt that in 90 days we'll create it, and they created it. So this is one big story that you must know of. Grade Easy, I think you need to know these guys. These are Surat-based, Dishant and Alok. Both these guys, understood that schools and colleges and institutes were paying a lot more to conduct online examinations. I mean, we had a trip to Mars. It takes only 7 rupees per kilometer, but to host an online examination, behind every student, a school needed to pay roughly about 10 to 15 rupees. So they took it upon themselves to solve this problem. They said, okay, we will make sure that you are able to conduct this in 1 rupee per student. So that's what they did. They launched Grade Easy, which is today a very, very important platform today. Another story that I would like you to know is of Chef Junction, and these guys are from Bhubaneswar, very, very young kids. They were out, I mean, just out of class, I think 10. Sorry, they are BBM students, okay? And these guys, that's Suryanshu and Preetham. Both of them understood that people were not ordering food from outside because they were all scared of, contamination. And what they did was they said, okay, we will offer home cooked food. This will not be from any other place. This will not be from outside. We're not picking it up from a restaurant. We are not a restaurant. We are cooking hygienic, safe food at home. And they started off this business. Okay, so this is one small business that came up and is doing very well now. And they've been able to work their way around this entire lockdown and serve people food, especially all those as well who are down with COVID. So these are 3 very important stories that I wanted you guys to look at. Now, let us meet some of our rock stars in person. And I think it's time that I now invite Sneh Soni and Biswajit De to please switch on their cameras and say hello to all of you.
Hi guys, extremely excited to be here. I think we have many attendees, I think across the globe, in fact, and super excited. I could not have been more privileged to be a part of this.
Biswajit, welcome. Biswajit.
Thanks, sir, for, you can say, giving us an opportunity to, you can say, share our ideas, share our journey with such, you can say, bright minds. Like, thanks a lot, sir.
Okay, welcome. Now, let me just introduce both Sneh and Biswajit. So Sneh is running a very, very exciting business. And by the looks of her, by the way, don't you think that she's in class 9?
Well, I look young. I drink a lot of vitamin water.
The moment I saw her, I thought that she's in class 9. I think I thought that maybe I've got the wrong person there. But yes, Sneh is running a wonderful business, and it's very unique business because she has created a SaaS platform, which is basically a paid platform. She'll tell you a little more about it, where she helps FMCG companies or fast moving consumer good companies to sample their products in a very automated way with zero hassles. It's a hassle-free business way of doing rather sampling for their customers. And this is how she will tell you a little more about it a little later. So she's one who's doing an amazing business. And when we're talking about fast-moving consumer goods, you're talking about anything from creams to soaps to hair oils to whatever you can think of, toothpaste. Okay, and moving on to Biswajit. Biswajit is doing some rocking work, working with the Indian Army, working with people in tea estates, working in agriculture, working with metros. I don't know how many different kinds of clients he's got. And what he does is he does surveillance through drones and delivery, not I'm not talking about now pizza delivery, but we're talking about other kinds of delivery through drones. And it's a very exciting business because when we talk about drones, you're talking about flying. And Biswajit, can you take me as a pilot? Can I come in? I would love to do
Sure,
that.
sir. Pilot, a ground pilot, sir. We'll be flying drones.
So Biswajit works out from the IIM Calcutta Innovation Park, which is within the IIM Calcutta campus, and often we see these buzzing birds all around us, taking trips to and fro, and these are all long flights that he takes, doing trials and taking them to really great heights. So welcome both of you, and let's begin with a few very uncomfortable questions. I'm calling them uncomfortable because I'm going to ask you those questions which probably people don't ask you, okay? So forgive me for that, but I'm sure for our viewers here today, all of you guys are going to really enjoy this conversation. I'll try and take questions. I'm not too sure, but definitely I have a few questions of my own, which I felt, will be very interesting. So let's begin with Sneh. Ladies first. Sneh, so tell us something. What really made you think of such a? It's a very niche thing that you're doing, right? I think the last time I heard of somebody doing sampling was when I was probably 15 years old. When somebody would knock on my door and say, sir, please have a look at this, and would you like to sample this? And they would give us a small little packet of maybe a detergent powder or something, That's probably the last time I heard about it. And I don't think in my memory in the last 15 years, I have heard of anything, not seen though, absolutely, that must be 25 years ago, but I don't think I've heard of anybody doing sampling anymore. Does it really happen? And how did you actually stumble upon this idea? It's a very niche thing, very different. Yeah. So tell us a little more about that.
Absolutely. So this happened when we graduated college. Kunal, me, and Kavach, all three of us are like co-founders, and we were looking at multiple ideas. We were even in college we were very entrepreneurial, so we wanted to execute this. What we thought about, and so Freestand was not a product sampling platform earlier, but what Freestand was, we were trying to create a cold press juice, right? We were trying to come up with a FMCG product of our own. So in that process of identifying how will we launch a product and how will we give it out, or how will we generate customers from our product, how will we attract our first customers, we realized that product trial is a very important part of every product launch. And while we were figuring that out, we were also looking at solutions that exist probably that can help us connect with our customers, right? And in that process of identifying what are the solutions that exist currently in the market, which can help us connect with our customers as a cold pressed juice brand, we could not find a proper solution. And we were so young, right? We were so young, and we were very tech focused. We were very forward thinking people. The existing solutions did not make sense to us. I cannot imagine, giving out my product sample, say at a retail store, and not having that connection with the customer. So we figured that there is no product or there is no service that exists that solves this particular challenge, where a brand can connect with its customer and offer its product sample for customers to try and create that impact. And that's how Freestand came into the picture. That's how we started solving this problem, and we realized that a lot of other FMCG brands are also facing the same challenge. And another part to what you mentioned, product sampling is everywhere. So it's not product sampling, let's call it trial. Freestand is a trial marketing platform, and trials exist everywhere. When you go to buy a car, they will always allow you to test drive it. When you go to buy clothes, you can try it in the trial room, right? You can see if the fits and if you like the quality and so on. And similarly for FMCG again is anything that is consumed, or any products that we use on our daily lives is FMCG. So similarly for FMCG also, trial play a very important role. And a very important number there is globally 30,000 products specifically in FMCG are launched every year. But how many of those products do we get to know about? Right? And sadly, 75% of them fail. within that first year of launch. The reason for that, the major reason for that is the fact that they are not able to connect with their relevant customers and offer their product. They don't have a, the right shot, like they don't get that right opportunity to, offer their products to the relevant customers. And that is why the product sampling or, trial marketing in general is a very impactful, form of reaching out to customers and having that right shot in creating that impact.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. Biswajit, what about you? How did you stumble upon this idea? Were you always dreaming of becoming a pilot, and then this is how this story goes, like every other child, or how did it happen?
Sir, I will rather say that I am an accidental entrepreneur, sir. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur, frankly speaking. So after my, you can say, graduation, means while I was in the 6th semester, so I got recommended for, you can say, getting trained in Indian Army as a helicopter pilot, sir. So back in 2014, I joined Officers Training Academy in Chennai, and I was getting trained over there. I was living my dreams. Like I always wanted to join defense, you can serve for the nation and also. So like after that, some accidents happened during my training period after 9 months of my training. And then I was medically boarded out. And of course, after that, almost I lost my entire world. Like when you get boarded out in medicals after, you can say, taking in army terms, we tell it as ragra for 9 months. And hardly we had 2 more months to, you can say, survive in academy, and then you will be commissioned. But okay, that happened. And after that, I came down to Kolkata, met my school friends, Ritesh and Debojit. Debojit was working in ITC, the other co-founder, and Ritesh, he was working in Bajaj. So Ritesh and me started off with, like, I'm good in making drones. I did my studies in drones, means aeronautical, and he's good in selling. So we thought of, okay, let's start off, you can say, building drones. So after that, we invested on 4 lakhs, around 8 lakhs in, you can say, getting the right resources in place. And, whenever you start off, you can say, dreaming like, okay, means like back in 2016, 15, I mean, it was like, we'll have a big office and all, and like we'll have employees working with us, our team members working with us. So we invested that in some resources that we shouldn't have. We took a big office. We had, you can say, team members joining in and all, but we didn't have business to start. We started building products. So we lost quite a few of our, you can say, investment in that. And then slowly we started learning, okay, what you should do and what you shouldn't. And in this, you can say, journey, we came up with IIM Calcutta. IIM Calcutta helped us, you can say, in handholding the entire, you can say, business plan. And like, yes, now we can proudly say that we have been serving almost 200 plus units of Indian Army across Jammu and Kashmir. We are serving in many government forest departments. Now we have started, as drone law have been, you can say, legalized, you can say, regulated in India. Now drone has become, you can say, a tool for commercial usage also. And this is how we are, you can say, growing. And in this journey, yes, Bama and Laurie also came in, and they've invested, have shown confidence in our, you can say, team. And this is how the journey started. So.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so I think we've spent a lot of time in answering questions, and there will be a paucity of time, but I would want a lot out of both of you here. So what I would request both of you is, I'll ask these short questions, and I would request you to have these short answers where you could give a lot more, back to the audience here and tell them about your journey. So Sneh, could you tell us what were the 3 major milestones in your business when you started up? What were the first 3 things, or the first major milestones that you achieved or you touched base with?
First 3 milestones. Okay, very quickly. First milestone being our first paid customer, getting that first client, and and understanding that this product that we're building has an actual value add. That was the first milestone. Second milestone was identifying that product that which solves the problem. And of course, it has happened iteratively only for us. And third one is the people that we want to build this idea for. So 3 things. First being that first customer who validates the business. Second being the problem, the solution that actually does solve that problem. And third is the team, the people. Those are the 3 big milestones.
Okay, quickly, how did you get your first customer? So I think there was one question on, how do you get your customers here in the long list of questions here. So I think if you could just answer that, that would also help to answer, some questions there. Yeah. What do you think, or rather, how did you get your first customer? How difficult was it?
Okay, it's not difficult. I won't, I won't recommend people think that it's hard to reach people. If we are solving a problem that, we think that somebody will find useful, we should just go and connect with them and ask them whether they think it's meaningful or not. So finding your first customer, if you're solving a problem and if you have that empathy, like developing that understanding of what that customer wants, what is that pain point, always understand the pain point and identify whether this person has that pain and whether I can solve that pain for them or not. And if that is the case, they will work with you. And that's how we did that. Our process of connecting with the customer was very brute force. We just found them on LinkedIn, connected with them, cold called, and asked them whether, point blank, do you need this? And if they said yes, we went ahead with that. And if they said no, we said, okay, sure, thank you. It's a very simple.
And was it disheartening, or was it that simple as no thank you? And you went off with a smile, or was it really disheartening?
It's disheartening at some point, but I think you have to have that, you have to have that courage with accepting rejections is a part of, building a venture. It's always going to happen. We've seen too many no's. So, yeah.
Okay. So I think that is a very, very important, response that you've given us, that listening to a no is very important in business, and, you will receive a lot of no's. So be prepared for it. Let's come back to you, Biswajit. So you've got very different kinds of customers, Biswajit. You've got the government as well as a customer, the army as a customer. How difficult was it to get into your first customer, and who was your first customer? If you could just give a little on that.
Okay, sir. Sir, getting into army is really quite tough. In fact, like validating your product, you can say whether they buy it or not, sir. First, validating your product that yes, it meets, you can say, military standards is a big achievement. And for us, getting to that stage was quite tough, sir. Like we were not, you can say, having any experience on how these systems are being built. So for us, like we went down to the main field, we were on ops, we built products, we crashed them, we came back home, we were disheartened, like, okay, let's again motivate out, you can say, whatever we have done. We used to, you can say, sir, we had one motivational force and one force to plan. Because every time when your drone is on air, because of some slight issue, it crashes. And when it crashes, it becomes quite tough for us to again, you can say, revamp everything on ground and again flight. So you have to come back home. So you have to take precautions of each and every, you can say, minute things that gets involved in building a drone. So we used to, you can say, visit their, you can say, units, their locations, validate them, take their inputs. Actually, we built our drone based upon the inputs that the client gave us, means the army gave us. And of course, it took us around 9 months for us to, you can say, get the product ready, fine-tuned as per their expectations. And like initially, the first order was from one drone, and after that, after it got, you can say, commissioned in army, they used it for nearly 6 months. They tested it ruggedly in Leh Ladakh, in some other areas of Srinagar, in cold weather, rarefied atmosphere, and everywhere. And then we were awarded with the order of 25 and 25, 50 drones directly. That was the boost that we got. And it was really very, you can say, challenging as well as very, you can say, exciting. And the happiness that you get when you see your systems being used by some professional organizations, it's, you can say, unexpressible, sir.
Gaurav, you're on mute.
So
Yeah, I'm sorry. So your world crashes when your drone crashes, but then you pick up every little piece and you put it back together, and then you start flying again. I think that is the way even the life of an entrepreneur is like, right? Every other step is like, it could be failure as well. You never know. But then you need to pick up every little piece that you've got with you and put it back together and start running again, right? So wonderful, Biswajit and Sneh. I think this truly tells us, how difficult it is also, but how challenging it is and how much of fun you guys are having right now. Coming back to Sneh, for the interest of our viewers here, a lot of them, in fact most of them, are school students. What would be your first, I would say, suggestion to them or recommendation to them if they are thinking of starting up? What should be the first thing that they should be doing?
Okay. First thing is when you have, say, intuitively or, speaking with a friend, you have figured out, okay, this is a problem I can solve. The first thing you should do is identify who will be using this product or solution or anything, or a platform or anything, who will be the customer for this, and then speak with them. And this customer can be anybody. It can be a teacher, it can be another student, it can be a college student, it can be a working class audience, it can be general people, mothers, fathers, anybody. Like, so the problem, the solution can be built for anybody, but speak with them. Customers is the first obsession you have to build as an entrepreneur. If you have that understanding of, if you have that insight of that customer, you can solve other challenges. Other challenges come easy. That's my first suggestion.
Okay, what about you, Biswajit? What do you feel that should be the first step that our young audience should take if they have an interest in, wanting to pursue entrepreneurship?
Sir, I can say add up what Shreyas said. Like, as per our experience, you can say quote it in one line: don't build a product and take it to market. Go to market, build the product there with your clients, and then you can say start improvising it, and you can say grow with your, you can say, clients, you can say feedback. Like, sir, this is one thing. And like, so you are a real example, sir. Like, you have started off with the entrepreneurial journey from when you were around 7.5 years ago, sir, and I was not aware of it. We have been knowing each other from last, you can say, 3.5 years, but this was the first time I came to know about it, sir. So like, you have, you can say, got the enough experience to, you can say, guide these youngsters to, you can say, right path, sir.
So Biswajit, I would like to pause here and pick up your statement once again and reiterate it. You said that don't build your product and go to the market. Go to the market and then build your product. Okay, that's a very thoughtful, I would say, statement to make. If I have to, think about it, most entrepreneurs actually build their product and then go to the market, right? And of course, there's a lot of iterations that take place when they are in the market. But this is a very, very, I would say, interesting way of looking at things, as in, don't build your product and go to the market, but go to the market and build your product. So I think what you're basically trying to say here is that understand your customer. This is what Sneh also said. You need to befriend your customer and understand your customer and the needs and the wants of the customer, and then accordingly build your product. Sneh, did you do the same thing? Did you actually go to the market and build your product, or did you build your product and then go to the market?
We understood the need first, and of course we did it wrong as well, because we did not have anybody to advise us earlier. So we went wrong. Of course, we built the product first because like, it's kind of people get sort of क्या बोलते हैं, थोड़ा misconception आ जाता है कि पहले tech बनाना होता है, फिर चीजें फिर बेचना होता है, right? So definitely we did this mistake, and because of that, we went into the market. Now customers gave us feedback, and then we developed the platform, and we were like, okay, this product has to change. So did the iterations, always got the feedback from the customers. But yeah, we did the mistake and then learned from it. Did not know it earlier.
So if I have to put it in black and white, iterations would be be a very integral part of the entire journey, right?
Right.
I mean, you definitely go to the market, you learn a lot about your product, how people perceive and look at your product, how do they receive it, what are their suggestions, what are their, what are their aspirations where your product, vis-a-vis your product. So I think in black and white, it would be a good thing to build your product along with your customer while you are there, interacting, engaging with your customer, speaking to your customer, find out what is the need, and then accordingly build your product along with. You will face lesser number of problems, lesser number of challenges, lesser number of iterations. And I think the process will be slightly faster. Great. Wonderful. Now, coming back to Biswajit. Biswajit, you started off by, applying for NDA, and then you were there, you got booted out. Then you came back, and then you wanted to do something which was in the entrepreneurial side of things. How about parents? What did your parents react? Did they really want you to do a professional course, or apply for a government job, or did they want you to take up a corporate job, or did they at any given point of time ask you to appear for any of these public examinations? How was that? And if anything like that, then how did you deal with it?
Sir, I can tell you, like, my parents were
your parents
not
aren't listening.
that supportive.
Your parents aren't listening right now. Your parents aren't listening, so it's okay. You can tell us the secrets.
Yes, sir. Like, they were not that supportive during my initial years. They were very happy when I was, getting trained in the academy. But when I started off with my entrepreneurial journey, they were not, supportive, because I can say that I'm the first generation entrepreneur from my entire family. Everyone. So they're like, yes, all of us, yeah, my maternal uncle, sister, my sister-in-law, everyone are, you can say job goers. Like that 9-to-5 job, they like it. Okay, end of the month. The main thing, sir, in a middle-class family is end of the month, you will get something that is assured. And then you can plan your budgets accordingly. Savings के लिए अलग से, कुछ इसके लिए अलग से, जब बच्चे होंगे उनके खर्चे अलग से, and everything, sir. But initial 1 year, 1.5 years, like I used to take money. All my savings were over. So I used to, rather, instead of giving them money, I was asking money from them for my survival or something. So yes, during that time, one of my co-founder, came out with some other ideas. Instead of asking money from parents, why not let's, teach people what we have. So for us, like we said, it took us around quite a good time, to get our first product, ready. So what we did, like, we thought, we started off with a brand called EduRate. So we used to train students going to their, colleges. We have trained, in this process, we created a brand. I didn't mention about that. We created a brand called EduRate, where we used to train students on drones, aeromodeling, RC aircraft, robotics. And so in this process, we trained around 10,000 plus students pan-India. You talk about any IITs, all IITs, NITs, we were there back in 2017-18. And the revenue that we generated was channelized for our survival, our team survival, as well as for our R&D. And that idea clicked for us. When you are in your, entrepreneurial journey, you will come up with many ideas, and the person who will love your idea is you. So you have to, you have to make yourself ready to, listen criticisms on the product that you have developed. If you, you have to be open. And like, yes, your product, you have developed some product and you love it more, but the reality might be different. Like, it might not be accepted by your client. So you have to be always ready. You have to be open to, accept whatever the client says. So like the parents were not that supportive initially, but yes, when means they tried all their means, like to, you can say, convince me up, you can say, to take up some other government job, or you can say join some corporate, you can say, firm and all. But yes, but now when they saw that yes, things are, you can say, moving in a good pace, and yes, with the you can say with time, sir, you can say people start, you can say, supporting you. Now yes, now they're very happy.
You too. Sneh, what about you? Did you face any problem like this at home? Did people tell you to not do what you were wanting to do when you broke the idea with them that, I want to get into? Sneh, what about you? Did you have an entrepreneurial journey?
Sorry, I think there was a voice lag. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, politely, yes, definitely. Our parents did mention because I feel that the parents are against, you say pursuing something like this, is because it's hard for them to imagine what it would be like, or what is the potential for this particular idea. It's hard for them to envision that, and that's why they sort of share their opinions in terms of, don't go take a job, why take that hassle. We've had like, I mean, similarly for my parents also, they've been like, why are you doing this, or why work late nights, right? Those are some of those things that parents create a little bit of sort of problem around. But overall, no, but parents have been extremely supportive overall, with the in terms of us pursuing this idea and supporting. And even financially, we've received, like, our first investment came from parents as well. So that support is definitely was there. Few suggestions around what is the point and things like that. But the most important part was that and parents are looking for validation, right? So they want to understand whether this idea is validated, whether this idea will work for you guys or not. So show them some validation. Okay, I have customers. There are customers who are paying for my product. I have some backers. I have, like, potential. There are people who are ready to work with me around this idea, and there are probably investors ready to back me up as well. So those are the validations parents look for. And you have to really spend time with them to make them understand that I'm trying to create long-term value. I may not receive my salary next month, but I'm trying to create long-term value. And that's very important. And you have to have multiple sessions with them. I think when somebody is, and if a person is trying to convince their parents, you have to have multiple sessions with them. It will not happen overnight. It will not be like, I want to do this and it will happen. You have to train them into, it's a process, and sort of conveying them into, this is what I'm looking to build, and have regular updates with parents and so on. So
while you're speaking, Sneh, there's a question that has come up for you directly. So let me just break it open to you. So somebody is wanting to know, how do you really make money in the sampling business? I mean, you're doing sampling, how can you make money out of it? So could you just very briefly tell us how you make money?
Sure. It's very simple. Brands who want to offer their product as trials to customers, what we do is we specifically make it easy for them to execute that process, and to make it easy for them to execute and to connect with their customers and offer a free product sample. We make money. We are paid, essentially where we get paid from is FMCG companies. They pay us and they use our platform, and we're using that platform. They connect with the customers, the people around the internet and they connect with them and offer their free samples. So that's how we make money. We make money.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Biswajit, there's another question, not very directly related to you, but I would prod you to answer this question. And somebody wants to know, is it possible to, keep a job and as well as, start off? And if you do start off, I mean, do you have to live on your savings, or how does it really work? If you could just spare a little thought on that.
Okay, sir, like there's an old saying, like you can't put both of your legs in two different, you can say, boat, and you can say travel. So I'll rather say that yes, while doing the market research, yes, you won't be starting off from the very first day. Correct. So you need to have a team in place. You need your co-founders, or yes, of course, you can also start alone in this journey, and then people will come and join as time passes. But I'll rather say, while doing the market research or planning, yes, by that time it takes around 2-3 months. Yes, you can have your job, but yes, once you have, you can say, planned that you'll be going in this, I'll rather say that yes, you should take this path. You can say wholeheartedly, without keeping two things in mind. Like, I'll continue my job and then I'll build this product. Since I've not done it, so I'll rather say that you should also, you can say, focus on getting the product, or you can say ideas right in place, and then you can say continue. And savings, yes, like now it's a very tough question. Like, yes, say, you have to plan out accordingly, because you can say the best you can say way of developing your business is with your client's money. It's a good saying, but from the very first day, your client won't be paying you, so you have to invest. And the best you can say way of getting money initially are those 3 F's that IIM Kolkata has taught us: friends, family, friend. Sorry, 4, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
Which are the 4?
So friends, family, full, and so I'm sorry, sir.
So you heard of the 3 only. The 4th one is just a joke. But yes, friends, families, and fools, those are the people who invest in entrepreneurs. But I have a 4th one as well, and I call them fathers-in-law. Okay. So yes, these are the people who actually invest in you. Coming back to you, Sneh, a quick question somebody just asked, and that is, Sneh, what was the biggest mistake that you've made in your business so far? That is Vidyut who asked this question.
These are, I mean, mistakes too many to count, honestly. You have to keep making mistakes. Biggest mistake, even today, I would still say that biggest mistake probably is not having the tech team, and it's very specific, by the way. It's not having probably the tech team or the entire company, entire team to speak with the customers. It's not just the business's job or business team's job to speak and stay connected with the customers and get insights. I think everybody in the team should have empathy for what the problem is and what the solution is and who are we solving it for. And to develop that insight and to develop that understanding is something you learn over a period of time. So very specifically, having the entire team on the same page and having that entire team to understand what the vision of the business is. That's been my mistake, and we're of course working out on that as well. So yeah.
Okay, somebody's asked a question here. Is a target audience of 12 million people good enough?
By target audience, do they mean market? Like, do they mean market?
A potential market, I guess. That's what I understand.
Okay. So they said 12 million is the market.
Yeah.
Many markets are small as well, but that does not mean it does not have potential. You can either expand your market by offering multiple use cases, or like probably the market, or you have not identified whether the market is big enough or not, because many markets are small. Like many products, if they are restricted to a region, then they probably would be small. But if you sort of expand and look at the global use case, you can find a bigger market as well. So
okay, Biswajit, a direct question to you, and this is what has been your biggest fear, and secondly, what services do you really offer through your drones?
Okay, the biggest fear has been you can say, I won't say losing clients, but yes, losing the team, you can say, who are, you can say, the reason for getting those clients. Because the toughest thing that I found was like getting the right team in place for whom, because your customer counts on you. The one thing, sir. And the second, and to answer to your second question, sir, like I'm sorry, sir, I missed that second question, sir.
Yeah. So what services do you provide through drones?
Okay, sir. We started off with, you can say, surveillance drones for, you can say, defense. And then we started off, you can say, with some government initiatives being, you can say, initiated by the PMO office for, you can say, upgrading the drone industry, like Samitwa scheme, where they have asked, means you can say, to develop, you can say, drones for mapping the entire Indian subcontinent, means like especially the Indian villages, where they want to digitize the you can say maps that our, you can say, survey people or you can say other peoples are using. So we create survey drones, mapping drones that take images, and you can say stitch those images and give you digital maps. Surveillance is one, mapping is one, and the third is, like you have already mentioned, sir, delivery systems, delivery drones. These delivery drones are, you can say, medical delivery systems for, you can say, northeastern and remote locations, where it takes hour for you to travel and cover, you can say, 40 kilometers, where a drone can simply fly and you can say reach and deliver that, you can say, essential, you can say, medical package in hardly and half an hour time. So we have got 3 products that we have been, you can say, catering to now, like delivery drone, mapping drone, and surveillance drone.
Wonderful. Great. That's amazing amount of work, Biswajit. Sneh, coming back to you, I think a very pertinent question here, and I think a lot of people have this one query and that is, how do you get your customers and how do you reach out to them, and do they contact you or do you connect with them? What is the best way of connecting with your customers? Where do you find them?
Right. It's different for multiple businesses, of course, where your customers are. Some businesses are, some businesses are B2C and other businesses are B2B. And depending on that, you should look at what is the way for you to reach out to your customers.
Sneh, B2B and B2C, if you could just expand a little more.
Sure. So B2B, what I mean to say is that if you're a business who's solving a problem for another business, and your direct customer who pays you money is that business, then that's a B2B business. And B2C, by B2C, I mean when you are a business that is meant for customers. Now customers can be anybody, it can be regular, say Lay's makes chips for you, regular customer. It's a B2C business. So those are B2C and B2B. The difference between that, and depending on that specifically, we identify who our customers are. If you're a B2C business, the way to connect with your customer is via distribution channel. So channel of distribution se mera matlab hai ki how will you distribute your product or offering with the customer. This can be done via physical distribution. This can be done via digital distribution. So if you're a product which is meant for customers, then the way to connect with your customers is via ads. Of course, marketing is there to to drive awareness about your product. You have your brand website. You can have a direct to customer channel as well, where your website connects with the customer directly, and you can sell the product like that. And in case you are a B2B company, then you can connect with your customers one-on-one. Say I connect with Gaurav because I have a specific product or a specific solution for Gaurav which can solve his problem in his company. Say I have a product for IIM Calcutta, and I go to IIM Calcutta and I say, Gaurav, do you need my product? And that's how B2B works. And B2C works probably in a more mass way and in a more outreach way, but you can also do it D2C. D2C is direct to customer, when a brand is establishing a connect directly with the customer and saying, you're my customer, do you want my product? And customer says yes, and that's how they pick up. So that's how.
By a distribution network, you meant probably you have wholesalers, you have retailers in the physical channel. Do you in your business also have wholesalers and retailers, or you are a direct a B2B business?
We are a direct B2B business. We help FMCG brands, so our play is not in the retail or that distribution. We don't have a role in that.
Okay. Coming back to you, Biswajit, and this is, I think, one of my favorite questions to you all the time, and I want to hear the story every time, or rather, every time I ask you for a new story on this, on the same lines. Working with the Army, you know what I'm going to ask you. Working with the Army, there have been a number of times where your drones have been utilized for insurgency operations. Okay, and does that give you a very great feeling, or how do you feel when that happens, when your drone is used for either surveillance or in areas where there are terrorists or maybe unlawful entities around? How does it feel? And if you could share maybe a small story, I mean, would be happy to hear.
Yeah, so I'll rather you can just say this story is a small story. In fact, I'll finish it off in 1 minute, sir, and make it in long, sir. Back in 2018, sir, when we were validating our products, sir, in that you can say Gulmarg area, you can for testing the cold climate, you can say compatibility. So we were informed like there was some operation being carried out by some RR unit back in Sopia. It's a South Kashmir district. So like our team, like I was there along with my team, and whenever we go, sir, like it's always a volunteer thing. Like whether you want to go or like you want to stay back at the hotel. So like all of us, you can say, agreed to it. And we went directly from the testing location, charging out batteries to the, you can say, operational site, where we stayed there for 13 hours flying our drones simultaneously. Means we had 2 drones. We used to charge one, fly one, and then you can say keep another one for backup. So that was such an, you can say, successful operation that our drones could identify 3 terrorists hiding in a home, sir. We were using thermal payloads, like the cameras that behind a window that was having a curtain. It was not visible to your naked eye, but the heat signature that we got, we helped them out. You can say help the forces who are, you can say, working, means who are involved in that operation, and they could, you can say, eliminate those 3, you can say, terrorists. So and we were very happy, you can say, after that. Means like our drone could validate, you can say, like, yes, they are useful tool, like you can say, in identifying those, you can say, extremists who are hiding. And sir, I just want to know, means I'll rather tell you like what they do, you can say, to, you can say, know the location of the extremist. So our defense forces, they have got their bulletproof jackets. So they walk in the streets. They know that you can say there are 3-4 houses, and one of the house, you can say, has, you can say, 1 or 2 terrorists, depending upon the input. So to get the, you can say, exact idea where the terrorists are hiding, they first take the first fire. Like 2 people will be walking on the street intentionally so that the terrorist can see and fire on them, so that the other people who have, you can say, encircled the entire area get to know where they're hiding, and then they will carry out this, you can say, operation. So it's too risky for them. So you'll always hear 1 or 2 people, you can say, getting bullet shots. Since we have been on ground, we have seen it. Like how, you can say, means how they tackle this situation. So like when they deploy these drones and they get the, you can say, feed on their, you can say, mobile cameras or on the display unit, it's that, you can say, that helpful for them. You can say, instead of risking out their life to get out the location input, they can deploy it. And because of this, you can say, successful operation, we received one, you can say, recommendation and appreciation letter from Army headquarters for our entire team. And it was very satisfactory. And I can't express how happy the entire team was.
This is just out of the movies, Biswajit, and I was really enjoying this conversation. I love this part of what you do. But just one, so we're running out of time. There's really a paucity of time, and we're actually overshot. Just one last question that I have, and that is, how does one choose what kind of a business to get into? So I'll start with you, Sneh. You could roll off, and then we'll come back to Biswajit on this.
Okay. To choose what problem are you solving for, it depends on your unique insight. What is it that you understand the best, and what is it that you empathize with the best is the problem you should solve for. It's not dependent on what is hot, what is not. It's not dependent on what is trending. And of course, identifying those parameters also play a role. But the most important part is, what do you understand the best? What is it that is unique to you? If you have that if you have that unique insight on something that only you have, or only you possess, then you can solve that problem. And nobody else can do that. Then you're irreplaceable. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Biswajit.
Sir, rather you can say it in a different way that Sneh has said. I'll add to her, sir. Like you should, you can say, get into stuffs where you are confident enough. First, yes, market research plays a big role, and after that, how you can solve it and what expertise do you have? I mean, you can say have in, you can say, creating a solution or a product to, you can say, address that problem statement that a respective market or a client is facing. So you should go in with your expertise, rather you can say depending on someone else, you can say what you say, expertise. So focus on things that you love and you know better than others do.
Wonderful. I would just like to add a little to that. I think I mean, there is interest. Yes. There is something that you want to do. Yes. I think also confidence. Yes. Maybe you may have some insights on it. Maybe you have some prowess in that particular line, or you have some experience in that. Or also probably, I think another part which is very important is, which I'm sure both of you will agree with me, is you should be passionate about doing something in that field, because you need to run along with that project for maybe the next, or that business for maybe the next 20 years. If you're not passionate about it, if it doesn't come from within, it is not a calling from within, if it's not pulling you out of yourself, if it is not like a magnet which is, getting stuck to you, then it'll be difficult for you to continue with that business. So if you have that passion within and you really want to make a difference in that field, go out and do it. And I would love to thank, I'd like to thank Sneh and Biswajit so much for your time. This is so wonderful for both of you to come down here and actually share. I would say this is not just what you've done in life, about what you've done in life, but I think also your inner feelings. I'm sure you feel very connected to the audience, because not very long back you were part of the same group as well. And I think I relate in the same way too. I'm just 17 years old. Everybody here, please note, I'm 17 years old. And I love the way both of these guys are working. They work with so much of passion, so much of confidence, and more than anything else, so much of heart and soul they put into their work. And I think that is what is keeping them going. That is what is making them successful on a daily basis. Thank you, both of you. Over to you, Subhayu. Thank you.
Well, my turn to say the thank yous. Both Biswajit and Sneh, thank you so much for sharing that. Both of you, no, privilege is entirely ours. Please don't thank us for this. Your passion, your enthusiasm for your business is absolutely palpable. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Gaurav, thank you so much for doing this. We are privileged to have IIM Calcutta Innovation Park as a partner for Ignite, and thank you so much for sharing your insights with all the students. To the students and teachers who are here today, thank you for being part of Notebook Ignite. Last year, we did a debate, 0 hour. Debates are something schools are familiar with. This time, it's a very different event, and much more than a extracurricular event that your school is participating in. This is something far bigger. The country is going through an upheaval, a change in attitude. From being job seekers, we are creating job creators. And your students, these young people on this session today, are going to herald in a new tomorrow when they create jobs, bring their innovations to the fore, where India emerges as a country that others travel to get employed at. This is a wonderful starting point. As you know, there will be 3 masterclasses. This was session 1. Tomorrow and day after, we look forward to having you again. Once again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being a part of Ignite. Take care and goodbye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.